Hello guys. So today we are looking at the rules of the road. We're going to try and cover all the rules of the road all in one video. Okay, the rules of the road for your K53 learner's license test. All right, so we're starting with the general rules. So these are rules that are general. Under no circumstances they do not change. Okay, the first one, they're telling you that always drive on the left hand side of a normal road, of a two-way road. What am I reading? Always drive on the left hand side of a two-way road. You may drive on the right hand side of a one-way road if it is safe to do so. So at testing yakho, you'll get a question which will ask you, what is the most important rule of the road in South Africa? And you will answer and say, the most important rule of the road in South Africa is that you must keep left. Keeping left, because in South Africa, you drive on the left-hand side of the road. You keep as far left as possible, okay? And then always maintain the safe following distance from the vehicle in front of you. 2 seconds in a light motor vehicle and 3 seconds in a heavy motor vehicle or a truck. So there is then what we call the safe following distance. The safe following distance, mngani wami, will be the space or will be the distance that you are keeping between your vehicle and the vehicle in front of you. So it goes like this. This is a car A, and car B there. So the distance that you are keeping here should be that which we say safe following. You will see when we come to the duties of drivers and passengers, there's a section where we will talk about the duties of drivers and passengers. We talk about you may not follow another vehicle too closely. Because you must always keep the safe following distance. So I see that sometimes the 2 seconds and the 3 seconds may maybe drunk you or whatever, or confuse you, fog. You must not worry about that. 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The question will come like this in your test. We say, the safe following distance is when the vehicle in front of you suddenly stops and you are able to. Then they put 3 options. When are you looking for an option that says to, and you are able to stop without swerving. If you are able to stop without swerving, then you are keeping a safe following distance. You're able to stop your vehicle without driving to the side trying to avoid bumping into it. You are keeping the safe following distance. Should conditions be poor, adjust your following distance accordingly. So we're talking about if it's raining, it's misty, and so forth. You increase the distance. So maybe instead of following it closer, you keep even a bigger distance. Now that the conditions are poor. And then they say, always display your vehicle license disc. This disc is valid for a period of 24 months. So the license disc of your vehicle is valid for a period of 12 months. 12 months, listen, I'll repeat this. The license disc of your vehicle is valid for a period of 12 months. You must not confuse these 12 months. You must not confuse these 12 months of the license disc with the 24 months of your learner's license. The learner's license is valid for a period of 24 months. The license disc of your vehicle is valid for a period of 12 months. So the two are very different. Okay. Now, always obey the instructions of a traffic officer. These take precedence over any road rules or traffic signs. They take precedence over any road rules or traffic signs. You must always obey the instructions of a traffic officer. So when the traffic officer says stop, where you are not allowed to stop, you stop, because the instructions of a traffic officer, they come first. Fork. And then now let's go on to the rules with regards to driving on a divided road. Driving on a divided road, okay? Where a road has been divided by either a painted line or physical barrier, always drive on the left side of the division. When the road has been divided with either a painted line or physical barrier meaning there is a wall that separates the road, you must always drive on the left-hand side of the division. On the left side of the division, there is a division, there is a wall here, you see, and then there is a space, there's an opening here, there's an opening, okay? You only pass there. Where there is this marking like this is your island. You never drive over any road marking or even a physical barrier. Sometimes they just put a raised pavement sidewalk. You don't drive over it. You only drive where there is space allocated for this action. But now, when we do the road surface markings, you will get to see what I'm talking about. And then this barrier or division may only be crossed at an opening or space where it is specifically indicated for you to do so, as I've said. All right, now we go down onto driving on the shoulder of the road. Driving on the shoulder of the road. Ukushayela ehlombe lomgwaqo. Do not drive continuously on the shoulder of the road. Do not drive continuously on the shoulder of the road. Ungalokhu ushayele uhambe njalo on the shoulder of the road ehlombe lomgwaqo. Should another vehicle intend to overtake you, you may move onto the shoulder of the road if you can clearly see no other obstructing vehicle or pedestrians at least 150 meters ahead. Okay? So now, you don't drive continuously on the shoulder of the road. Shoulder of the road is the yellow line, right? So you only drive on the shoulder of the road, yellow line, if you want to allow another person to overtake you. You want to allow another person to overtake you, then you can drive on the yellow line. But you do it if you can see that at least there is no pedestrians, there is no vehicle, there is nothing that you may bump into at least 150 meters ahead. This may only be done on a single lane road and between sunrise and sunset. You only do this during the day. You don't do it at night. You only do it during the day. At night is a no-no. You don't do it at night. You only do it during the day. What is it that you do during the day? Driving on the yellow line to allow another person to overtake you. Right. Okay. Moving on onto the rules with regards to parking. The rules with regards to parking. Parking. Do not park in the following areas. You may not park your vehicle in any of the places referred to in stopping your vehicle. So there's a section that we are going to look at whereby we're talking about stopping your vehicle. And then we say where you are not allowed to stop your vehicle, you may not park. You may not park where you are not allowed to stop your vehicle. You may not park your vehicle in such a place where you will obscure a road sign, on the sidewalk unless such vehicle is being used by a street vendor or hawker. At the entrance to any private or public road, you may not park within 1 meter of the edge of the road outside an urban area unless it is a designated parking bay. You also may not park within 1.5 meters of a fire hydrant, within 9 meters of a pedestrian crossing, within 5 meters of an intersection, and upon the actuating mechanism of a traffic signal, with your left wheels further than 450 millimeters from the edge of the pavement, unless permitted by a road sign, on a road that is less than 5.5 meters wide, unless it is a one-way, on a pedestrian island, in a pedestrian lane or in a pedestrian mall, and in a loading zone. Bangani bami, my friends, my lovely friends, These are all the places where you may not park your vehicle. You may not park your vehicle in any of the above mentioned places. Okay. Now they're saying to you, failure to adhere to these rules will result in a fine and or your vehicle being impounded. Ish. If you fail to adhere, if you fail to follow these rules with regards to parking, your car may be impounded or you get a fine. Now, the above rules do not apply to emergency vehicles, on-duty police and traffic officers, and road construction and maintenance vehicles. Okay, it does not apply if it does not. These rules do not apply to police, to maintenance people, to emergency vehicles. Okay, they can park however, whenever, wherever. Fork. All right. Now let us then go on to okay, here are some images. This is the pavement 450 millimeters away from the pavement. It's not allowed. This is the fire hydrant. Parking 1.5 meters within 1.5 meters of a fire hydrant. Parking your vehicle at the entrance of any public or private road where the road is 5.5 meters wide. You may not park on the side of the road. You may not park your vehicle 5 meters away from the intersection. All right. Now we come on to overtaking or passing another vehicle. Overtaking or passing another vehicle. What are the rules of the road with regards to overtaking or passing another vehicle? So they say here, unless you are prohibited to do so by any road sign or marking, you may overtake a vehicle where it is safe to do so by passing on the right of the vehicle. Unless that action is prohibited, you are allowed to overtake. Only return to the left side when safely past the vehicle. You only return to the left-hand side when you have safely passed the vehicle. Never overtake where your visibility is limited, such as on a blind rise or corner. You never overtake where your visibility, where you cannot see clearly. You never overtake. Never overtake a vehicle that is stopped at a pedestrian crossing. When passing a stationary bus, always check for passengers boarding or getting off the bus. When you are passing a stationary bus, you must always check around the bus. Are there some people who are getting on or getting off the bus? Okay? So you must not just pass ukijim. Okay? Now, talking about overtaking or passing on the left. Overtaking on the left-hand side. Overtaking on the left-hand side. You must understand ukuthi uvumeleke nini uku-overtake on the left. When are you allowed to overtake another vehicle on the left? You may overtake on the left where the vehicle in front of you is turning right. Where the vehicle in front of you is turning right, you may overtake on the left. You may overtake on the left where there are 2 or more lanes for vehicles traveling in the same direction. When there are 2 or more vehicles traveling in the same direction. However, the saying that says keep left and pass right is the safest rule. Keep left, pass right. Never cross over the yellow line when overtaking on the left. Never cross over the yellow line when you are overtaking on the left. You don't cross the yellow line. Okay? Right. And then, now we go on to being overtaken. The rules with regards to being overtaken. When another vehicle intends to overtake you, move over to the left if it is safe to do so. And maintain your speed without accelerating. Be overtakeable. If there is someone who wants to overtake you, move slightly to the left, like this demonstration. Move slightly to the left. Allow this vehicle to overtake you. And you must not accelerate. You see, sometimes you are trying to overtake someone, they are busy accelerating while you're trying to overtake. No, just maintain your speed, move over to the left. Okay, so here are the rules. you overtake on the right is the right thing to do. Overtaking on a bend is not allowed. Overtaking near a pedestrian crossing is not allowed to overtake a vehicle that is stopped at a pedestrian crossing. Okay. And then overtaking into oncoming traffic. If there is oncoming traffic, you never overtake. You don't overtake when there is oncoming traffic, regardless of how the road is. You see, the road is open here, but because there is oncoming traffic, you don't overtake. You don't overtake on a solid line. You don't overtake on a solid line. You see, there are these double lines. This is your solid line. You don't overtake there. Okay, and then please, while you are still at it, while you are still watching this video and enjoying, whether you are enjoying or still trying to figure it out, please press that subscribe button there. It makes a difference in my life if you subscribe. Fork. All right, so sketch 1, sketch 2, sketch 3, sketch 4, sketch 5. Here are some sketches, okay? And then there's some info that follows after these sketches. Let's now look into the info. What are they telling us? Crossing or entering a public road or traffic lane. You may only enter a public road when it is free of other traffic long enough for you to safely enter it. You may enter a public road when it is free of other traffic long enough for you to safely enter it. Okay? You may only enter or cross into another lane when it is sufficiently clear for you to do so. You may only cross into the next lane when it is sufficiently clear for you to enter it. You don't just jump in without checking, is it clear? Is it safe for me to jump in? You don't just do that. Do not enter into or cross an intersection if it will cause an obstruction to traffic flow when the signal changes. Okay? If you see that you are going to cause an obstruction, don't jump in. This can pose danger to other traffic. Okay? Signals and indicating. Always signal your intention to turn, your intention to reduce speed, to stop by use of indicators, brake lights, and hand signals. Ensure that you do this, allowing sufficient time to warn all road users of your intention. Do this, allowing sufficient time to warn everyone. You don't indicate here and you are turning here. You indicate well in advance. Hand signals are not to be used on a freeway. Hand signals are not to be used on a freeway. You don't use hand signals on a freeway. Now you come on to the rules with regards to turning left. Ensure that you are in the correct lane according to any lane direction arrows. Indicate well in advance, then you keep as far left as possible as you are about to make your turn. Once you have turned, adjust your speed accordingly. Once you have turned, adjust your speed accordingly. Adjust your speed accordingly when you have turned. Firstly, if you are turning left, guys, again, quick one. You want to turn left. The most important thing, you must ensure that you are in the correct lane. When we say correct lanes, you want to turn here. These are lanes going in the same direction. You can't be in this lane, but you want to turn there. Make sure that you are in the correct lane. You are here because you want to turn that way. Okay? And then indicate well in advance. Indicate well in advance of your turn. Okay? Don't indicate here and you are turning here. You know ukuthi wena uzojika. You know that you are going to turn. We do not know. As we are following you, we do not know. So you indicate so that I can plan my lane usage ahead. How am I going to use the lane? Because this person is turning. Okay? Right. The rules with regards to turning right. Ensure that you are in the correct lane according to any lane direction arrows. Indicate well in advance, and then you keep as far to the right as possible as you're about to make your turn. Give way to oncoming traffic and wait for a suitable opportunity for you to turn. Okay? You keep as far right as possible. as we were saying with the with the turning left. Okay, you keep as far right as possible as you're about to turn. You indicate well in advance, and then give way to oncoming traffic. Angithi when this is the road you want to turn, here. So you keep as far right as possible. Excuse me. If there are oncoming traffic, you let these cars pass. When there is clear enough, then you can turn. Allow ample space for vehicles behind you to pass you on the left. That's why they say keep as far right as possible to allow these vehicles to pass you this side. Okay, before making your turn, ensure that you pass the crossroads center lines. Make sure that you pass the center lines so that you turn into a correct lane, and you do not cut corners. Do not cut corners. Do not cut corners. Okay? Right. And then we now go on to mini circles and roundabouts. Mini circles and roundabouts. They're saying here the most important thing. At all mini circles and roundabouts, the rule of the law is yield to your right. Give way to vehicles that are approaching from the right. When approaching a traffic circle, always give way to any vehicle approaching from the right. So, this is a traffic circle. You are here. There is already a vehicle. It's approaching from your right. Let this car go before you can jump in. However, all vehicles already in the traffic circle have the right of way. So, again, the rule that applies the most is that the one who arrived first, the one who arrived first will go first. Okay? At mini circles, any vehicle that crosses the yield line before you has the right of way. Always indicate which route you intend to take to exit the circle. You must always indicate which route you intend to take to exit the circle. Always indicate. Okay? Now we come on to stopping your vehicle. The rules with regards to stopping your vehicle. Here are some places where you may not stop your vehicle. You must know. You may not stop your vehicle alongside an excavation if this will obstruct traffic flow. You may not stop your vehicle in a tunnel, subway, or a bridge within 6 meters of a tunnel, subway, or bridge, on or within 6 meters where a roadway has narrowed, in contravention of any road sign or marking, on the right-hand side of the road, facing oncoming traffic, alongside or opposite another vehicle where the road is less than 9 meters wide. You're also not allowed to stop your vehicle within the railway reserve at a level crossing, within 9 meters of the approach side at a pedestrian crossing, within 1.5 meters of a fire hydrant, and at any place where it will cause an obstruction, and lastly, on a freeway. Banganbam, these are the places where you are not allowed to stop your vehicle. Remember, these are the places where you may not stop, and therefore you may not park. You may not stop and you may not park. Remember, if you are not allowed to stop already, how are you going to park? Because parking requires you to stop. Okay? So, here are some illustrations. Here, the road is 9 meters wide. You cannot stop your vehicle opposite this vehicle. Okay? Stopping your vehicle or facing oncoming traffic is not allowed. There's an excavation, you stop your vehicle here, it's not allowed because you are obstructing traffic. Okay? Then you have compulsory stops. There are places where it is compulsory for you to stop. And what are those places? You must always stop when you are directed to do so by a traffic officer or a road sign. You must always stop. the traffic officer asks you to stop, you stop immediately. When you are involved in an accident, for any pedestrian who's about to enter a pedestrian crossing, you must stop for them. When you are requested to do so by any person herding animals over the road, anyone who's herding animals over the road, you must stop for that person. If they ask you to stop, you stop it completely. Then now we come to general rules, to general duties of drivers and passengers. General duties of drivers and passengers. You must know your duty as a driver and passenger. When driving, you may not do the following. You may not travel backwards longer than necessary and only when safe to do so. So, awuvumelekile ukulokhu uhambe ngo-reverse. When you are reverse longer than necessary. You may not follow another vehicle closer than it is safe to do so. This is what I was saying earlier on. To say that you do not follow another vehicle too closely. You must always keep safe following distance. Okay. You may not permit another person, animal, load, or anything else to hamper your complete control of the vehicle, including observations, hearing, signaling, slowing down, and changing direction. You may not permit another person to steer or operate the vehicle. You may not leave your vehicle without setting the handbrake or to prevent it from moving. So, awushiyi imoto ungaphakamisanga handbrake. Handbrake up before you leave the vehicle. Okay. You may not have any part of your body sticking out of the vehicle unless you are executing hand signals. The same applies to your passengers. You may not allow any person or animal on the roof or running board of your vehicle while it is in motion. You may not run your engine in such a way as to give off excessive smokes or fumes. Okay? And you may not leave your engine running while your vehicle is unattended. Awushiyi imoto iduma. You are not allowed to do that. Before you leave your car, when you are pouring petrol, make sure that the car is not running. The engine is not running. You may not deposit fuel, oil, grease, ashes, or any other refuse onto the road. You may not leave your engine running while fuel is being pumped into it. You may not allow anyone to enter or leave your vehicle while it is moving. You may not drive, push or pull a vehicle onto the sidewalk. You may not operate any communication device. Oh, what's happening with my book? Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. This thing likes misbehaving. I'm sorry. Sorry. You may not operate any communication device without a hands-free. Awusebenzisi imoto, awusebenzisi ifoni without connecting it to Bluetooth. So that means you cannot be talking on the phone. You must always give way to vehicles sounding a siren when safe to do so. It is recommended that you do not listen to excessively loud music or wear headphones whilst you are driving. Don't listen to excessively loud music when you are driving, because you will not even be able to hear other drivers when they are warning you, when they are hooting for you. You won't be able to hear them. You may not follow another vehicle too closely. Umthwalo wakho may not protrude like this. This thing of coming out of the car like that is not allowed. And then stepping out of the vehicle while the vehicle is in motion and being on your phone whilst you are driving is totally not allowed. And then here you have some duties relating to motorcycles, tricycles, and quad bikes. So This is for people who wish to go and ride the. This is for people who wish to go and ride their learners licenses for the motorbike. They say you must sit astride the saddle with both feet on the footrests. You may not carry a passenger if your engine capacity 50 cc or less. You may not carry more than one passenger behind you or two passengers if you have a suitable sidecar. Yabo? If you have a suitable sidecar. Okay. You may not carry a passenger or any bulky object in front of you. Thole manje sowufaka imithwalo ngaphambi kwesithuthuthu. You don't do that. Motorcyclists must ride in a single file with their headlights on. Okay? You and your passenger must wear a suitable helmet at all times. So you are not allowed to use a motorcycle, to be on the motorcycle without your helmet. 2 or more people driving motorcycles may not overtake another vehicle at the same time. So that means it's you with your motorbike here and your friend that side with a motorbike here. You may not overtake one vehicle at the same time. You may not do that. Okay. And then they say that you must always have at least one hand on the brakes, on the handlebars at any time. At least one hand must always be on the handlebars at all time. You may not leave the handlebars where alone and not hold at least one. All the wheels of the vehicle must stay in contact with the road at all times. So you may not do this thing. You must one wheelie, you may not do it. Okay? When carrying a parcel or load, it may not project out than 600 millimeters to the front, 900 millimeters to the back, and 450 millimeters to the sides. Okay? Ngaphambili, it may not project more than 600 millimeters. Emuva may not project more than 900 millimeters. You may hold on to and you may hold on to any other vehicle. Be told, you may not. Why am I saying you may? Why am I saying you may? Listen, they're saying here, you may not hold on to any other vehicle. Be towed or tow anyone. You cannot be towed by a vehicle. Ungabone ithuthuthu zidonsana. No, you don't do that. Or ithuthuthu zidonsa imoto, you may not do that. Okay? Right. You are not allowed to do that, my friend. And then we come on to vehicles causing excessive noise. Vehicles causing excessive noise. You may not operate a vehicle which is causing excessive noise. You may not use your hooter unnecessarily, and it must be audible at a distance of 90 meters. All right, guys, look, with this one, if you are not doing a motorcycle learners, you may skip this one. You may skip the duties relating to motorcycle. Okay. Vehicles causing excessive noise. You may not operate a vehicle which is causing excessive noise. You may not use your hooter necessarily and must be audible at a distance of 90 meters. Pedestrians right of way at a pedestrian crossing. When a pedestrian crossing is situated at a traffic light, the pedestrian must obey the signal of the traffic light. Drivers must give right of way to a pedestrian entering or already on a pedestrian crossing. A pedestrian shall not run onto or enter a pedestrian crossing in such a manner shall make it difficult for the driver to yield. No driver may overtake another vehicle which has stopped at a pedestrian crossing. As a driver, when someone has stopped at a pedestrian crossing, you do not overtake them. Racing and sport on a public road. Any race or sporting event on a public road must be approved by the relevant authorities. So you do not decide to just have a sporting event on the road without the permission from the local authorities. So until we meet again on part 2, of which will be the final part on the rules of the road. Meanwhile, I'll see you next time, guys. Watch other videos that you find on this channel. Have a great evening or great day, depending on the time you are watching this. Bye bye.